Hello, and a big warm welcome to you, and welcome to the Living Aware Parenting podcast. My name's Marion Rose, PhD, and I'm a Level 2 Aware Parenting instructor and the Regional Coordinator for Australia, New Zealand, and Indonesia. And I'm so delighted to be still in, and this is the same day. I'm recording these all on the same day. This is the celebrating Aletha Solter's 80th birthday celebrations. And I am so delighted to be joined by the lovely Katie. And oh my gosh, your surname, is it Fusco? Fusco or Fusco or something else?
Well, in your English accent,
Yeah.
it's Fusco. If you were Italian, it would be Fusco.
Fusco. Fusco. So kind of both.
Either or. Yeah,
What do
absolutely.
you enjoy though? How do you like to pronounce it?
Probably it's always been said to me as Fusco. So that otherwise, if you say the other one, I might not know who you're talking to.
It amazes me that this you've probably heard all the episodes where I'm suddenly like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to pronounce this person, even though I know them really well. I've known them for years. I have no idea how to pronounce their last name. The kookaburras are here with us. So I'm outside still. It's very loud kookaburras and cicadas and all kinds of creatures. So I'm going to be muting myself when you're talking, Katie. And I'm so delighted that you're here. So you're an aware parenting instructor in the UK.
I am.
And thank you for being here to celebrate Aletha's birthday together.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Marion. I'm really excited and honoured to contribute. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And I've almost said it to almost everyone else so far. I'm seeing this as it's almost a little bit like a British like a quiz show of so there's a behind the door. I don't know. In the 80s there are a lot of those types of shows that I watched. So it's a little bit like that. A1. So I'm going to start off with door number one, which is so. A is all about Aletha Solter and her work. So number one, the question that you chose is, it's a bit like, do they still have This Is Your Life? It used to be Eamon Andrews, This Is Your Life in the UK, and now you haven't seen him since 1972.
Do you know, I don't know. Oh, the kookaburras like it though.
It's really like it. I think we're getting into the celebratory laughter now.
Oh.
What's a party without hysterical laughter?
It's amazing. It's quite contagious, isn't it, actually?
What would you like to say to Aletha about the difference that aware parenting has made to your life?
Oh, well, I mean, I could probably write a 30-page essay or speak for hours about this. But I think when I read that question, what immediately came into my mind was that as an adult woman that has experienced significant stress and trauma from their own childhood, I think I came to parenting so fixated on doing it right, making like the correct choices, doing it in the most optimum way. And I think for me, like the guiding lights were the idea of like prevention and protection. And when I, during pregnancy, discovered like classical attachment style parenting, I thought, well, this is obviously the answer. Like, this is how I ensure that I can offer my love and it will absolutely, undoubtedly be received by my baby. And I had a huge, painful, excruciating, agonizing lesson to learn because I really internalized the idea that when you offer closeness and responsiveness, why would your baby have any feelings? the idea that the aim is for your baby not to have any feelings, and that kind of messaging around, which I know this is a big word, but I personally feel is so toxic to mothers that, for example, once your baby is crying, it's because you have missed all of their cues. And that is so punishing. And I arrived in motherhood with that narrative, and I had a beautiful baby born to me that had huge, beautiful, bursting feelings. And I had no idea what to do with that because I had such a fixed narrative in my mind. And I was so shackled to the dialogue around the fact that I was absolutely failing because I can comfort him, soothe him, cure him, help him, that there was something inherently broken, pathological, dysfunctional about me as a person, that I was not able to do this for him. And that resulted in me kind of seeing myself as a threat, really, that I was somehow being neglectful. And I cannot tell you, discovering aware parenting and Aletha's work, to be able to move from a place of genuinely believing every waking second of the day that I am causing emotional damage to my baby, toddler child. He was actually a toddler when we discovered aware parenting. So, it was a few solid years of that brutal harshness internally, to, in those few moments of reading the first few just quotes or phrases, or to turn that phrase on its head to, oh, I'm listening lovingly. Oh, okay, I'm not missing anything. I'm actually, by, holding that beautiful, nourishing, loving space, I'm showing up in the exact precise way that he most needs. I'm supporting him emotionally. I'm not damaging him. And even the thought that without Aletha's work, I could have told myself that story for the rest of my life as a mother. Literally, when I say that out loud, I can feel my heart like shrinking in my chest that would have been a possibility. And I am obviously here today as an aware parenting instructor. And I also work in the National Health Service in England in a perinatal and infant mental health team. And I would just love to say to Aletha that coming across her work was not just the most indescribable, immeasurable gift for me, but it allows me to offer that to all of the mothers that I work with. And to be able to facilitate and see and watch and wonder as I share her work with each and every one of them, and to watch that same transformation in them of seeing themselves as completely inadequate and incompetent, to suddenly realizing, oh my goodness, I'm actually, or like with this new awareness and understanding, I'm offering my baby what I always wanted to receive myself. And they start to see themselves not as a threat, but as a healer. And that is just powerful. We're here using words, but it's powerful beyond words. And I would just love to say thank you from me, and thank you from every single mother that I have worked with, that I'm currently working with, and that I will go on to work with. Because those waves, those ripple effects are so profound. Yeah, so just so much gratitude.
I'm so touched. Such profound beauty and meaning, and I am so with you in terms of I really hear that sense of there really aren't words to describe what I hear the profundity of that shift in perspective and what that's meant in terms of your own life, your relationship with your son, all the women that you have worked with, are working with, will work with, and that in itself is so profound, isn't it? And yeah, I'm so with you on this beyond description, the gratitude to Aletha. So thank you for sharing that. It really touched me. Yeah, I love how you really bring in the deep kind of emotive, that's not even really the words for it, but just I feel really touched basically. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, such an honour. Thank you. So the second door, B1, we'll find B1, which is your journey with aware parenting. So the question is, are you willing to describe a pivotal moment in your aware parenting journey?
Oh, yes, I would love to. And this was actually an interaction between myself and Aletha at an aware parenting networking meeting. So I won't share like in detail. I hope Aletha's happy for me to share what I'm going to share, but I'll kind of keep it quite vague and general. But essentially, I feel, and it was a really quite recent, but it was so pivotal for me because I feel like the way in which Aletha talks about the various diagnoses that children may or may not be given, all of the languaging and the terminology around that, and all of the different kind of parenting paradigms. There is so much information out there, and it can be really, really challenging to navigate, you know, as a parent, and let alone an instructor, when you kind of feel like one of your roles is absolutely to be kind of like, you know, a beacon and a guiding light. And for me, clarity is so vital when we're inhabiting a world that's very much is invested in and profits from maternal anxiety. So I took a question to the networking meeting, and I spent like ages exactly trying to formulate the exact words, the exact question, the exact preciseness of what I wanted to speak to, the exact kind of response I was inviting. You know, it was like I was creating a piece of architecture. Well, I thought. And I was, you know, like when you, I mean, you may not know this feeling, don't really know who I'm speaking to, but when you think like the next podcast you listen to, or the next book, or the next social media post, or the next thing is going to be like, that's the expert puzzle piece that I needed that will suddenly make me completely enlightened. And I was like, this is going to be the thing. Like, so the question that I took is essentially, and this is just kind of paraphrasing, I said that when we're trying to differentiate between if a child has very specific needs in alignment with their like sensory profile or their thresholds or their preferences, particularly in the context of Aletha writing about high sensitivity. So I said, so how can we know when we're in a situation where we would fully support that and focus on the adjustment of the environment to really support that child to feel safe, compared to how can we know when actually there might be an apparent like sensory avoidance or aversion due to unresolved stress or trauma? In which case, for me, the most apt response is in line with like the balance of attention that we talk about in aware parenting, to move towards actually the processing of that rather than the sort of buffering, the sensory buffering or shielding of the environment. I hope that makes sense, that question. It made sense to me. And I was like, right, Aletha's going to tell, like, she's going to offer me, like, you know, this bullet point list of this is the exact way in which we can know. I was like, my mouth was open and I was hanging on every word. And I was, and then, of course, Aletha comes back to me with the whole premise of what aware parenting is based upon, everything she did herself with her own children, to be able to share this wisdom with us. Basically, and this is not exact phrasing at all, but, you know, essentially what I took from it were 3 words, which is experiment, observe, reflect. I was like, oh, okay. So, and I just had this real moment of, oh, I'm still kind of trying to give all of my power away to an external outside expert to tell me exactly what to do. And just that answer, it's like the level of trust that Aletha has in parents and in us as instructors as well, you know, in trusting us to go and share her work. It's such a, you know, it's such a privilege to do that. And I just, that was a really pivotal moment for me, because it also reminded me that when it comes to children, we can overcomplicate so much, and actually bringing it right back to the simplicity is so important and vital and transformative. So I would say that is kind of the memory that stood out for me when I saw that question and what I felt called to share. And I really hope, Aletha, that it's okay. I don't feel like I've shared anything that's not in the books. So yes, that's the one.
I love hearing that. Thank you. I love the whole story. That trust piece is so essential, isn't it? I've learned so much from Aletha about trusting children, trusting ourselves, and I'm so with you on how much she trusts us as instructors too. And just love that answer. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I loved, didn't you, in some way where parenting's so complex and nuanced and detailed and precise, and then in other ways it's so there's such simplicity as well. I love that combination. But yeah, just experiment, observe, reflect.
Yeah. And I think one of the things about that is saying, you know, with the simplicity, like there's no too small a place to start. And I think that's what I love about aware parenting, that yes, you can go to nuance upon nuance upon nuance upon nuance, as you know, Marion, you know, in the process that you went through with writing your books, you'd already been practicing aware parenting as a mother for so many years, been an instructor, and there were things that you learned through that process. But what I think it's really important to name as well is that, like, with the possibilities of us kind of constantly learning and evolving with it, it doesn't mean, because I know for my tendency is, oh, I've got to do it perfectly. I'm really working hard on that. I have been, and I will continue. But I think with aware parenting, it's also really important to name that as instructors, you know, we will meet you where you're at, and there is no place too small to start, and we're right alongside you for everything that comes up. And I think that's the thing with the simplicity and the complexity alongside each other, isn't it? Because again, the trust piece, that we're trusting children to go at our own pace, and we can trust ourselves to go at our own pace as well. So yeah, it's like both things are so true, aren't they? With the simplicity and the complexity, holding hands alongside each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you named that. Like, I often like to say to people, even if we were to listen, let's talk about crying, because it's often the most different in aware parenting compared to other paradigms. Even if we listen to our child crying one time, fully as present as we can be, that would change their whole lives, even if we were able to do that one time. I think that's really helpful to remember, because I think, as you say, it's so easy to go to the idea of perfection rather than like, wow, how amazing, listening one time or 5 times or 10 times. That's life-changing for a child.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so, so true. And I know with so many of the mothers that I support, that is a question that I will ask them. I will say, have you ever, to this point in your entire life, had one experience of expressing your emotions and someone being alongside you, listening and welcoming, embracing, accepting? And it's fascinating to see the people that answer yes, and how they are much more able to then relate to how that would be for a baby, because they have an embodied lived experience, even if they just name me one time, compared to people that will respond no. The work, it's absolutely possible. I really want to name that, but the work that has to go in to support a mother to believe that, as you say, in crying isn't inextricably and inevitably linked to like rejection, humiliation, terror, abandonment. It's so you saying that then around the crying, like, yes, one time, our body remembers one time. And it's just so important, I think, to, particularly with aware parenting, because I can see how, there so many people that embrace aware parenting, it's because they really want to choose a different path. And I think often because of what they've received, not always, but often. And there can be a tendency then to be like, well, if I'm not doing it properly, then I'm doing what was done to me. So I think particularly with aware parenting, if you don't have the compassion alongside it, it can feel really punishing. So, and that's what I love so much about Aletha's work and your work as well, Marion, is, you think about like Aletha's first book, and already the questions and reflections in there around the fact that you may find this hard to do if if you didn't receive this as a child. You're like, oh, so someone's not just saying this is how you need to be for a baby, do it, and why would you not do it? It's like someone's actually saying you may find this challenging, this may not come easily to you, and it is not your fault. Wow. Even now in 2025, there are so many parenting paradigms that do not even reference or allude to a parent's experience in any way, shape, or form. They expect us to be robotic and just turn up and be programmed and to respond to this child in front of us in apparently the exact optimum way, and totally forgetting we are human beings and we have been through our own experience. And it's, so in that sense, it's just remarkable that Aletha was already asking those questions, making those points. And many, many, many years later, many, 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 many experts have not caught up. So, yeah, amazing.
So amazing, hey? And well,
So amazing.
Where Baby was written, I was like just into my teens. You weren't born, I don't think, were you? Were you born when Where Baby was first published?
I was born in 86.
Yes, so you weren't born. Yeah. I mean, how amazing is it that she was writing those questions before you were born and when I was a young teenager. Wowzers.
Yeah, it is. When you put it in that context, you just think, wow.
Yep.
And also that it seems so obvious to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's the bit I love the most. It's just, yeah.
Me too. Rightio. Next question. C1. Did you notice nearly all of them were the ones?
I did notice that.
From one of them. Interesting.
Yeah. That is
I
interesting.
need to go back and look at the questions and what the number ones had in common.
Yeah.
So, C1 is the effects of practicing aware parenting. What do you notice in your son or the babies and children of the parents you work with that reflects the transformative power of aware parenting?
So I would love for this question to talk specifically about my own son. The reason being that he's 8 now and we started practicing aware parenting. Can't remember exactly. It was either late 2s or early 3s. I can't remember. So I kind of feel like I've had a period of time, short, yes, but I've had a period of time kind of observing in terms of what I was speaking to earlier about my experiment. And I would just love to really champion the level of, and I'm smiling and laughing as I say this because it's both a source of deep joy and also labor intensive at times. The level of self-awareness, the level of self-connection, and the level of self-advocacy is beyond my wildest imaginings. The way in which he speaks up and for himself, actually not just himself, himself, humanity, animals, the planet.
You shared with me. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, just, and he does it. He's such an efficient communicator. So he just delivers it in the shortest sentence possible, the most direct, the most concise, the most clear. And I think with the self-connection piece, I just, the curiosity and the fascination and the joy that he exudes and radiates. And it's really interesting for me because to see how that's responded to by others and by society, and it's scary for people, I think it's quite scary for people to see a child that is uninterrupted, undiluted, uncensored in their uniqueness, unapologetically themselves, exactly as they are in that moment. And I'd actually love to share just a little short story, which is that
I'm so glad you're on because I love your stories. The stories I've ever heard about him. I'm always like, I want him to be, as you know, king of the world, please.
king of the world. But he has what is in England called an EHCP, which is like an educational healthcare plan. So he's actually not in mainstream schooling, and he, as an alternative to that, he accesses like different provisions. So he has like one-to-one tutoring, and he goes to farm school and various other bits and pieces that he does. And I won't say like the exact context to protect the staff and the people in those settings. Actually, the first thing I'm going to say is acknowledging that everywhere he accesses, the way in which they have offered him such a beautiful sense of belonging after his schooling experience, which was harrowing for him and for us. I really want to acknowledge that. He sees them as like an extension of his family, and we are so appreciative. And I'd like to share this story where in one of these settings that he goes to, the staff member had decided that they were going to introduce a reward system. We've never used rewards and punishments at home, even before we discovered aware parenting. That was something that I had already developed deep clarity on because of my own life experiences. But obviously, when I came across Aletha's work, that was just really reassuring and reinforcing. And so he's not used to rewards and punishments. He saw them in schools, but in the school, I very clearly went in every time and said, I have a no for this, I have a no for this. So it wasn't used on him in school, but he saw it being used on other children, which I think that kind of vicarious trauma is also extremely difficult for a child, to see other children suffering. So it was decided that there would be a reward system introduced. And I wasn't told about this beforehand. And he came out and he got into the car and he sat in his chair. And he said to me, it's like, we have a problem. It's like, oh, tell me more. And he said, so I come here. I love coming here. I love the learning. It's so exciting. It makes my heart glow. That's a phrase that we use in our family about to name like when you feel that sense of like deep self connection. He said, now it's all going to change. I said, what's happened? And he said, well, they're saying that if I show, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something along like good behavior or follow the expectations or the rules or do all my work or something, then at the end of the session, I can't remember, it was like maybe 5, 10 or 15 minutes, I can't really remember, I get reward time. And he just said to me, this is nonsense. I said, tell me why it's nonsense. He said, because now, before, all I've been able to think about is the learning and how fascinating it is. And now all I will think about for that whole lesson is whether or not I'm doing enough to get that reward. I will just feel stressed the whole time. I will just feel anxious the whole time. I will just be worried the whole time. And my body will be fizzing. And I was sitting there and in my mind, I was already formulating, this is like he's mentioned the word reward. This could be a learning opportunity here for me to come in and teach him some things about why rewards don't work. Oh, great. Yeah. I'm ready. I was like, oh no, he's just done it. Like, it's just
articulated in the most clear but also like felt sense way of my rewards don't do what they say they would do. Oh
yeah,
my god, I love that.
absolutely.
Wow.
And I think it's just so, like, as an adult woman that went through the education system and got conditioned to such a depth around, like, it doesn't matter what I think is of value. I just have to learn what's put in front of me and regurgitate it. And again, I suppose, like, linking slightly back earlier to when I mentioned diagnosis, I'm not going to go into great detail here, but for me, when I see a child have a series of no's to different activities and then settle on one for like over an hour, I celebrate all of those 10 previous no's. I don't see it as inattention. I see it as the fact that they're following, like, is this engaging enough for me? Is this in our wording in our family? Does this make my heart glow? And I cannot tell you the absolute, like, radiant bliss and contentment I get from watching my child say yes and no to different aspects of learning. Because to me, like, aware parenting, and particularly Aletha's most recent book around learning, really supported me to understand that if I'm constantly trying to, like, preempt or teach or direct or guide, I will never ever meet my child. I will just see this kind of curated version of my child. And just the idea that I could never truly meet my son. So it makes me feel, I'm trying to think, what am I feeling? It actually makes, I've got like a wave of sickness then. It made me feel a bit sick. Like, oh, I could miss him. Like, oh my goodness. So I think having that, having that sense of, mum, just get out of the way and let me through. Like, I found that so empowering and liberating and thrilling to see what unfolds. And yes, at times that may have meant, we've had times where when he was younger, he would sit in a puddle for, well, as long as he wanted to, playing out in the park in a soaking wet puddle until we felt that maybe health-wise that wasn't the best idea and we probably needed to. And yes, it has meant some of the most random, obscure, ridiculous, off the wall, like, explorations and activities that other people would be like, that's not learning. And I think, oh yes, it is. It's learning in its wildest, best, most nourishing form. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Learning in its, what did you say, bestest, wildest, most nourishing form? Is that what you said?
Something like that.
Oh,
I've already forgotten what I said. It's gone. I'm so present.
you are.
It's
That's
gone.
exactly, of course. I feel so touched and moved hearing your stories, and so that deep self-connection is what you said about the being sick when you imagine, like, not really ever meeting him and seeing him and knowing him. I think that's such the gift, isn't it, of aware parenting, is not only then it helps. I do see it as like the common theme whenever I speak to anyone who practices aware parenting, for however long or short that is and however old their child is, that supports that deep self-connection, that the child is connected with themselves, and that of course supports us to know them, because they are connected with themselves to a greater extent than I believe if they're not brought up in these ways. So, what a wondrous gift.
I can't imagine what a greater gift could be than that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So again, it's that simplicity, isn't it? The gift, them being connected with themselves, and us having the joy of knowing them, seeing them connect to themselves, and having that connection with them, being connected with themselves. I mean, it's the biggest joy, isn't it? That experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly when you may have gone through, and are still going through, in my case, the longest journey of how to reconnect with yourself.
Yes.
Having had that temporarily obscured somewhat by external influences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As you know,
It's incredibly healing to see that in your child. I find it to be.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Again, most people practicing aware parenting have that shared reality, don't they?
Yeah. Maybe I should put a disclaimer in there, though, and say also the other side of that is don't ever try saying, because I told you to do that, or because I say so, or because I feel like you need to put that on the tin and say,
I know. Just a warning. We said that before one of the previous ones on all the books. Warning: this if this resonates with you, your whole life will probably change in ways that you could never imagine possible. But also the same, like your child will probably be deeply connected with themselves, and they will not just do as they're told because you're telling them to do it. They're going to say no a lot. They're going to also be willing to cooperate a lot, but they will also say no a lot. Do you have that temptation sometimes? I remember sometimes, just occasionally, I just think, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to have done punishments and wars, and just to say, just go and do it, and they would just do it. You know, when I had a strong need for cooperation and ease, and I was overwhelmed and stressed, sometimes just once or twice, like, oh, that would be. But it wouldn't, of course, have been delicious, and it might have been occasionally delicious. But...
Yeah. And I absolutely have occasionally said that, stamped my feet and said, oh, please, like, why can't you just no? Like, and he'll just look at me and be like, because I have a no for that. I'm like, and then recently he started saying to me, I think I shared this with you when we were speaking the other day, he's started saying to me, now, Mummy, I do think you're going to have maybe some feelings about this, and this is my truth. And then he speaks. I'm like, oh. So yeah, but it's such a fascinating experiment for me, though, because every time he has a no for something and I have feelings about it, I get to really be curious about where is my need for this happening coming from. And I think I shared with you the other day, well, sometimes when I'm feeling really powerless, I might just randomly bring in some really obscure thing, like, well, we can do that at 2 p.m. or something just really, and he'll just cut straight through it and be like, that makes no sense. Like, so be like, I know it doesn't, but it's because I'm feeling so powerless. Just like, the more powerless I feel, the more obscure and arbitrary I get. But it's such a short interaction, because then he moves in with like asking me, understandably, to explain my rationale, and then I very quickly realize I have none. And then we move into our compromise and negotiation, which I really think he needs to have a seat on the UN, because
that's why I want him to be like, whatever the king of the world.
Yes. So it's there's many layers to it, but what I love is, and you reminded me of this recently, This is not about raising compliant children.
No, that also needs to be on every single book and course. If you want compliant children who do what they're told and fit into the culture that is around right now,
this is not for you.
Desist. Put the book down. Put the course down. Move away from the computer right this moment, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
I think I interrupted your flow there. My apologies. I think you're probably going to say something about these are children who are not only deeply connected with themselves and with a questioning mind, who are not just going to do what they're told, and they are going to question almost everything, well, lots of things that they come across in the world. They're not going to be compliantly doing things and really thinking for themselves and really change.
Yeah. Or even, going back a step, even just being able to notice where change is necessary or possible.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Which I just find so exciting. Like, a generation of children moving forth with that lens.
Absolutely. For some reason I feel really called to share a quick story, and I don't know why, but I'm going to trust it. Are you willing for me to share a quick story? It's when you were talking earlier about, what was it, about being in the puddle, and I was remembering a day many, many years ago when Sonny was about 4, and he had a bestie at the time, and it was neither of them went to school. It was a Friday, so we went to the Mullen Market as we did every week, and we'd hang out. So literally from like 7 a.m. and we'd hang out all day. And I was at a phase where I was really into cooking, and I was making the same thing every day. So I'd make I can't remember. Oh, it was really beautiful. I wasn't vegan then, I was vegetarian. We'd make this beautiful, with the fresh bread. I don't know why I'm going to such detail. Egg mayonnaise sandwiches for us all for lunch with this beautiful, fresh, like Turkish focaccia type thing. And then I'd make lasagna, vegetarian lasagna, and then what was the apple crumble or something, I don't know. It was like every week I would make the same thing. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't know why I'm showing that.
I trust the detail.
They both wanted this large bottle, so we went to the local health food shop, Santos, and they both wanted this large bottle, and it was of a fizzy drink. I mean, it was in the health food shop, which is a very discerning health food shop, but it wasn't just fizzy water. I mean, it had a little bit of schisandra, ginseng, whatever, and probably a bit of sweetener. And both his mum and I, she was there too all day, and we were like, do you want a big, like, why do you both want a big bottle on there? Like, they were like really insistent that we were like, yeah, we were thinking, they're not going to drink it, and this is just such a waste of money, and like, really, but they were just so both determined. So we trusted them, and we bought them both this one bottle, and literally they went on, both of them, to play with those bottles for the next, let's say, about 10 hours. Those bottles were somewhat drunken. They were mixed into things. They ended up like, I don't know, they were taken apart. They were used to measure things. They became things with puddles. They went from this literally like a such great value that whatever how many dollars that those bottles cost, they literally spent all day. They were immersed in exploring the number of things that you can do with a drink and a bottle and a label and a lid, and it was just like one of those moments of like, just to really trust them, to trust the magic that happens when you really listen. So cool to share that story.
I love that story so much, and it really, to me, it really shines a light on like the awe that you can experience as a parent when you do just, on that day have capacity for a yes. And of course there are days when we don't, and then step back and just watch what unfolds. And you use the word magic, and that is exactly, I find that to be such an like accurate description. And just because you're getting a window into their world. And also, again, I think depending on what our childhood experiences of play were or weren't, even like if they don't invite you into that play, just bearing witness to that can feel so reparative, I have found. Not to say that grief doesn't come up around sometimes when you see your child or children playing in a way, when they play with complete abandon, in a way that they feel utterly, unconditionally, unquestionably safe. And they're just following the meandering nature of their play wherever it shall take them. If that wasn't necessarily a kind of, if your own childhood wasn't characterized by that, then that can also bring up huge feelings as well. So I really don't want to diminish that. But yeah, the absolute awe. And I love that aware parenting gives that permission to be so child-centered and so child-led, because you never know where you're going to end up. And that is just such a beautiful mystery.
Really is, isn't it? And those moments, because I can literally remember various points throughout the day as if they were happening now. I remember them sitting on the steps at one, half 5 hours through the play and the state of the bottles by that point. I mean, and the wonderment of like, wow, you can be both of you present with each other with these bottles for literally 10 hours, creating all different, like a million different, well, not a million, but many different iterations of what can be done with them. I mean, it's very fascinating.
Oh, thank you for sharing that story.
I haven't thought of that for a while. So let's keep going on with the questions.
Okay.
So what were we up to? That was C1. D1. You and aware parenting now. Are there concepts or phrases of Aletha's that you hold as guiding lights in your daily life or work?
I think one that feels really alive for me at the moment is the premise of like, it's never too late in relation to like rupture and repair. And I feel like initially I focused on that with my own child. And it really is like an embedded part of our being together now. And we're definitely still experimenting with it, because I think as children grow and age and change and develop, like repair can look different. So it's like a constantly evolving process. I think one real surprise to me has been how I've been able to use that concept as an adult in my adult relationships. And I would love to share two things. And one is like in the context of my family, and one is more in the context of my work. And I think in my family, I have been through like quite a significant process with my younger sister of repair. And I mean, there's a huge kind of history there. But when we were younger, we could not, I mean, I know you have sibling rivalry, but we could not bear each other. We were cruel and mean and hateful to each other. Obviously, now I understand as an adult that was a reflection of the emotional pain that we were both in for different reasons in different ways. And I cannot put into words the I'm struggling to put into words how unexpected and healing it has been for me to get to a place within myself where I can go to her with a repair, and we can kind of enter into this sort of dance together over a period of time. And I think I love that phrase so much, because and I just want to say before I say the next bit, I totally acknowledge that aware parenting doesn't have any religious or spiritual affiliation in any way. And but my father, he died 8 weeks, almost to the day after my son was born. It was unexpected, it was sudden, it was incredibly tragic and difficult for us as a family. And he actually died as a result of, essentially a lifetime of using alcohol to numb, his own emotional pain. And I have used that phrase, like, it's never too late, even though he's not here in his body anymore. But I find myself being able to, like, go and visit his grave and think about, like, repair. And I think for all of Aletha's work around, like, hyperarousal and dissociation and stress and trauma, and that has enabled me to take my dad's perspective and to hold both truths at the same time. That phrase comes to mind. I'm not going to get this exactly right because I've not got it written down, but those basically behaving in a way that appears least deserving of love are those that are in need of it the most. And me being able to hold that my dad was doing the absolute best that he could to keep himself functioning for his family in the context of all the unresolved trauma that he had. And I'm also allowed to deeply grieve all of the ways in which that meant there were things as a child that I longed for and was born expecting to receive that he was not able to give me. And Aletha's work supporting me to move from a place of such anger and rage towards him, which is absolutely part of the process, but for that understanding piece to come in so that actually I'm able to access my grief, the relief of that. And I know that aware parenting is about children, but I also think that it's such an incredible thing to name that there's so much possibility about how that can ripple out to all of the other relationships and all of the other contexts in your life. And the fact that I can now go to my dad's grave and stand there and, like, touch it and speak to him, and, like, I can feel myself getting quite tearful and smile and not stand there just completely riddled with desperation and confusion and resentment and unimaginable pain. That is just life-changing for me. So I know that's a bit off-piste, but I really wanted to mention that because it's been so transformative and really unexpected.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel so deeply touched, deeply touched. And the unexpected effects of really understanding these things that Aletha teaches and profound effect on you and your life and your relationship with your dad that continues even though he's not here in his body. And again, I love how you really acknowledge in where parenting there isn't that any spiritual or religious maps of what happens after we die, but the fact that healing can happen at any in any relationship at any time. Healing can happen at any time. So yeah, really that how Aletha names that it's never too late for healing to happen, and that often healing does take much longer than we think it might, but that it is never too late. So offers such reassurance, isn't it, to know, it might still be possible in this particular relationship for that healing to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, next question is E3. Ooh, what is your vision for aware parenting?
Do you know, for this one, I've been very concise, you'll be surprised. But for this one, I actually wrote a specific sentence down because I was like, it almost felt like a mission statement, you know? I was like, I want to get what do I exactly want to say? So this is what I've written down. I'll read it out. I've put the freedom for every child to stand in the absolute fullness of who they are without constant commentary, criticism, and coercion.
I love that.
And I think the reason why that stood out to me is, I've explained that I have a role in mental health. I apologize because I know that's really not a term that you enjoy, Marion, but it's the languaging of the job. Yeah, absolutely. And also had so many different roles in different contexts around children. And I see a trend as we move through the time of children becoming more and more under the microscope, more and more shackled, more and more having like their edges sanded or chipped, or just this kind of homogenized sense of what it is to be a child, or what it should be. And I think when I read that question, I just cannot tell you how much I adore Aletha's celebration of children in the absolute richness of who they all are individually. And I love whenever she speaks about like playing, whether that was with her own children or her grandchildren or in sessions. I don't know if she still does those in-person sessions anymore, but the way her face changes when she talks about play, her eyes change and her face lights up, and it makes me think, it wouldn't be possible. She lives in America and I live in England, but I think, just can I imagine, like, I would love to have Aletha in the room with my child and just be like able to step back and watch the magic that unfolds. And because I just have a sense of, she just innately, maybe it's the scientist element, just innately curious about human beings in a way that is, as I say, celebratory rather than ever being pathologizing or stigmatizing. And that she really stands so steadfast in, we all have value. And I love that. Just, it can feel my heart wanting to just burst out its chest, because it's, I feel, becoming rarer and rarer. And it's such a breath of fresh air to see that and to hear that.
Yeah, I so resonate. And when you were talking about that, about yes, watching a child with Aletha, and I had the honour of experiencing that, and I still remember. I've still got the piece of paper. I was actually talking to Aletha about it the other day. I've still got the piece of paper where she wrote the song that she used to sing to Lana when she was one of the times she visited here when I was helping organise some workshops that she ran here, and I just remember them playing these games, just the games with a little toy, and just the delight of seeing this. I love what you said, that curiosity, and the deep respect, deep honouring. It's so delicious, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah, you used the word delight then, and that's the word that my brain was searching for as I was speaking, but it didn't come, and that's exactly it. Like, child being delighted in is just, yeah.
Do you know one thing I love about, I'm going to add in, because I didn't add it in mine, so I'm going to add it in here in yours.
Oh, it's so welcome. Bring it in.
I really love how Aletha also, like in sessions, like she if the child is there, she's not willing to talk about a child when the child is present, like that. So like it's like that deep respect for children that I just adore so much. It just radiates from her.
Yeah. Children don't need to be evaluated, and that's what I love about her work. Just, that's not why they're here. That's not their purpose on this earth, to be evaluated or modified.
Or talked about in their presence as if they don't exist or don't matter, or like, they're kind of objects. No. Right, so the last two questions. What do you like to say to parents? So what is one thing that you wish every parent knew about children based on what you've learnt about aware parenting and from aware parenting?
I would love to share, because it just feels so alive in the world and the airwaves right now, about the broken cookie phenomenon. And I just feel like if I could say one thing to parents, it would be, we never ever need to be like rationalizing or making sure our child's emotional response is like proportionate or legitimate or justified or appropriate to the context. And I think one I've been hearing most recently is like right sizing.
I know, whenever you tell me these things that are happening, I'm like, oh my God, really?
I always feel like when I tell you these things, you look like you're going to faint. Your eyes roll into the back of your head. Is she still there? Is she still there? And I just have this sense of, if, like, not just for the child, I just want to be really clear about that, but for the parents, because the agony of constantly feeling like you're responsible for somehow making this child, I'm trying not to use the R word, the regulation word.
So we just cut out, I've just deleted a little bit there, because as you were just speaking the word regulation, a kookaburra literally came and landed next to me, and I was in awe, a bit scared, and we've just been talking about that in terms of not aware parenting, Marian method understandings of what that might have been about. So we're back here again. We're still here.
We're back.
But back here with you. Would you like to? Do you remember what you were talking about?
I do remember. I think I was saying about how the reason I use the word regulation is, obviously that is not a term that Aletha uses in aware parenting, and is very, very clear about that. Yeah. The reason I've brought it in is because it's such a big word in the culture at the moment. And I feel like it's putting immense pressure on parents to feel like they have to cultivate this exactly precisely regulated child within a particular window of tolerance, and that there's all these strategies and tools and practices that they're needing to do and be and implement and choose which one is right in that moment. And I love how Aletha trusts the wisdom of the mechanisms, and we do not need to divert them, distract them, short circuit them, terminate the emotion, because if we do any and all of those things, whilst also holding that we're human and we can be in situations where sometimes we can't always listen to completion or listen at all, so I really want to name that, but when we can and when it's possible, if we try all of those strategies, we miss the opportunity. Because I've had so many examples of things that have happened with my son where, according to probably many experts and bystanders, and they would say that my child is dysregulated. I'm doing that in quotations because I know we don't use that in aware parenting. When I've been able to stay with him, they would say that the emotion doesn't fit the situation. What's wrong with this child? When I've been able to stay with him in that, the beauty that's come when I have been able and had capacity and been in a situation where it's safe to, got to the absolute epicenter. I've stayed and I've listened and I've stayed and I've listened. It's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. What's come out of that have been, like he said things around, it might be to do with a page is ripped in his book. And then I've stayed and I've listened and I've stayed and I've listened. And then we've got to the fact that actually there was some more grief there still about our beloved dog dying. And the wisdom for him of connecting with that, and if I was telling him to right size his response, then I'm blocking.
Apparently, that's a term now used, you're saying, in schools in the UK.
Yeah, I think in adult, like, mental health as well, I think. Then to me, I'm blocking his beautiful, natural healing process. And I feel if parents could have that burden and that weight taken off of their shoulders, then it would make a huge difference, I think, to the level of like presence, interaction, and reciprocal joy in families.
Yeah. That innate wisdom, trusting that innate wisdom, understanding the innate wisdom of feelings and healing. And when feelings, like as you started off with the broken cookie phenomenon, when a feeling is bigger than the situation warrants, that tells us that it's healing something from the past. It's so beautiful and wise, isn't it? And when that isn't understood and everything's pathologized as being out of proportion, the biggest loss, isn't it? Because then that innate wisdom of keeping the child will keep trying. I know you know this. I don't know why I'm talking to you as if you don't know it.
I can never hear it enough times, though. Keep telling me, please. I love it.
And for the listeners and for all of us, it's like, wow, what a loss. And then, of course, the innate wisdom will keep trying to do that over and over again.
Yeah, and being able to do that for ourselves as well. Like, I've learned to be so compassionate with myself, for someone that prided themselves before I knew all of this on so many years, for I'm such a stable, happy being. I'm such a stable, happy being. Nothing phases me.
The tone when you say it's very like, I'm so
monotone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, or AKA, I'm such a numb, dissociated being. I'm such a numb, like, really, in truth. Yeah. And now, and obviously I've supported my husband with this information so he can support me as well. But like, you know, when tiny things happen in the house or in life, or and I have a huge emotional reaction, I've learned, rather than to try and like stop myself or judge myself or shame myself, or I drop into that again whenever it's possible for me to, and it's not always, but I drop into that and I keep going. I keep going. I keep going. I stay curious. I keep going. And then I have that realization of, okay, that's what this is about. And it's just like you said, use the words innate wisdom. And there's such a simplicity in that. And I feel like if I could support parents to wake up to that, that would be like an impact of epic proportions in humanity.
Absolutely. I agree. Yum. Long how bring life to these things when you talk about them. Thank you in ways that I find so inspiring and moving.
No, thank you, Marianne.
Thank you. Last question, G1.
Yes.
What would you like to say to Aletha as we finish this conversation?
I would love to firstly say that, Aletha, we are birthday twins. So I was also born on the 21st of December. And I knew you were turning 80, but I didn't know the exact date. And then when I actually found out on my birthday, obviously we're in different time zones, and I was squealing with delight. And then my son came running in. So what's happened? What's happened? What's happened? And I said to him, you won't believe it, Barney. You just won't believe it. You just won't believe it. It's like, I am birthday twins with Aletha. And he just took my hand in his and he looked right deep into my eyes and his face softened and his shoulders dropped. And he just said to me, oh, one of the humans you respect most in the whole world? And he was so thrilled for me. And also I was so thrilled to see in him like the same excitement of what, Aletha, you have gifted us in our family. And I really struggle, like I've said multiple times during this episode, to actually put into words. But I would love, I've just got a really short fable that I love, and I wanted to read that to Aletha, if that's okay, Marianne. So I'm going to read that now, and it's called The Story of the Hummingbird. Aletha, you might have heard this before. One day, a terrible fire broke out in a forest. A huge woodland was suddenly engulfed by a raging wildfire. Frightened, all of the animals fled their homes and ran out of the forest. As they came to the edge of a stream, they stopped and looked back to watch the fire. They were feeling very discouraged and powerless as they all bemoaned the destruction of their homes. Each of them thought there was nothing they could do about the fire, except for one little hummingbird. This particular hummingbird decided it would do something. It swooped into the stream and picked up a few drops of water and went into the forest and put them on the fire. Then it went back to the stream and did it again. It kept going back again and again and again. All of the other animals watched in disbelief. Some tried to discourage the hummingbird with comments like, "Don't bother. It is too much. You are too little. Your wings will burn. Your beak is too tiny. It's only a drop. You can't put out this fire." And as the animals stood around, disparaging the little bird's efforts, the hummingbird noticed how hopeless and forlorn they all looked. Then one of the animals shouted out and called out to the hummingbird in a mocking voice, "What do you think you are doing?" And the hummingbird, without wasting time or losing a beat, looked back and said, "I am doing what I can." I love that story so much. And I would love to say to Aletha, I am honoured and privileged to be one of her army of hummingbirds in the world. And one of the things I love most about Aletha is how humble she is. But I also would love to say, like, to have her as like the beacon, the lighthouse, to support us being able to block out all of the external noise and find that internal compass that is within all of us. You are the queen hummingbird, Aletha Solter, and I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful you were born, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to share the earth, this planet, with you at the same time. Yes, and just sending so much love from my entire family for everything that you have offered us, which is beyond the realm of words.
I love imagining her watching this, listening to this and hearing those words, Katie. Thank you. You've touched to tears. What an exquisite fable.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for including me, because I know we're across the world from each other and I know it's not easy, and I'm thrilled that I was able to be a part of this. So thank you, Marion, for making sure that I could be.
I'm thrilled that you are too. And thank you. Do you want to share anything about if people want to contact you or anything like that, or would you prefer not to do that? Like, how are you feeling about that at the moment?
I mean, I can definitely share what is the only place I'm probably contactable at the moment is on Instagram, I think, at the Crying Clinic. But that is, I'm still in my kind of experimental, developmental like phase. But yeah, I'd always welcome contact from anyone that resonates with any part of my story, any words that I've used. I think human connection, I think I used this phrase with you the other day, Marianne, and it's really stuck with me. Like, it ignites and enlivens my soul. So if anybody feels called to reach out to me at the Crying Clinic, I would love to hear from you. Yeah.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you. Wow. I feel really moved to the depths of my being hearing her share, and particularly with the completion of that story. So thank you for bringing all that you've brought today, this evening, this morning. I have a sense we've been on not a roller coaster, but I've experienced so many feelings as we've been here together. So thank you for really, it's the essence of aware parenting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just wonder and awe and delight and grief and rage and joy and everything. It's all welcome.
And in a way, what more apt tribute to Aletha than to go on our own, I was going to say roller coaster, but I'm not sure I enjoy that metaphor.
Yes, I'm not sure if I did either, because often it seems like a Actually, and I really don't enjoy roller coasters, so no, let's.
No, I don't either.
Why are we using that one? Why are we speaking that?
Yeah,
Let's
but
find a
just
new one.
to just be able to inhabit with such ease all of the different emotions that come up at different times. And yeah, it's because that is what Aletha stands for.
So much so.
Yeah.
Thank you, lovely darling. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you, Aletha, for watching or listening. Thank you to the listeners or watchers. It's funny, isn't it? Watchers. And if you would like to share your own experiences of how aware parenting has affected you, or in fact, if you would like to write directly to Aletha, I invite anyone who wants to, if you'd like to express your gratitude to Aletha, to email her directly. I will share in the show notes, or you can go onto our website, awareparenting.com, to find that. Okie dokie, Katie. We're going to be back in some other episodes, I think probably on my Marion Rose one. So if you enjoy Katie and I connecting, I think we'll be over there, but keep an eye out. The news will be forthcoming. Thank you, love.
Thank you, Marianne.
So much love to you.
Thank you.